Woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Hallelujah. 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 Good morning. I'm Ed James, and this is Black Almanac. Today, we're going to celebrate freedom. We as a community, with special guests, Reverend Charles McKenzie, the Florida Director of Push Rainbow Coalition, Rainbow Push Coalition, Mr. Jetson Grimes, Chairman of the Martin Luther King Celebration Committee, Honorable Willie Charles Shaw, City Commissioner, District 1, and Donald Malosky from Temple Emmanuel. Martin, is Martin here? Reverend McKenzie, where's Martin?
Very seldom, if ever, in the history of the world has a socio-political document expressed in such profound, eloquent, and unequivocal language the dignity and worth of human personality. For the American dream reminds us that every man and every woman is the heir of a legacy of dignity. It reminds us that there are certain basic rights which are neither conferred by nor derived from the state. In order to understand them, it is necessary to go back behind the dim mist of eternity. They are God-given. Yet ever since the founding fathers of our nation dreamed this dream, America has been, to use the big word that the psychiatrists and the psychologists use, a schizophrenic personality, tragically divided. On the one hand, she has proudly professed the noble principles of democracy, but on the other hand, she has sadly practiced, or she has very sadly practiced the very opposite of those principles. Indeed, slavery and segregation have always been strange paradoxes in a nation founded on the principle that all men are created equal. Just as I travel all over the nation, telling men and women, boys and girls everywhere, to be excellent in all of your endeavors. Whenever you discover what your life's work is, do that job so well that the living, the dead, or the unborn couldn't do it better. If it falls your lot in life to be a street sweeper, you go on out and sweep streets like Michelangelo carved marble, sweep streets like Beethoven composed music, sweep streets like Shakespeare wrote poetry, and like Raphael painted pictures. Sweep streets and sweep them so well that all the hosts of heaven and earth will have to pause and say, here lived a great street sweeper who swept his job well. As I say, I travel around the nation, reminding the nation that America has a rendezvous with destiny, that every man from a bass black to a treble white is significant on God's keyboard. And I want to encourage my people, because the destiny of America is freedom. Our freedom is inextricably bound with the freedom of America. Strangely enough, I can never be what I ought to be until you are what you ought to be. And you can never be what you ought to be until I am what I ought to be. All of us tied together in an inescapable network of mutuality. I say to young people, I say to all of us as we reach out to do our best to make the American dream a reality. You can't be a pine on the top of the hill, be a shrub in the valley, but be the best little shrub on the side of the hill. Be a bush if you can't be a tree. You can't be a highway, just be a trail. If you can't be the sun, be a star. It isn't by size that you win or you fail. Be the best of whatever you are. So I say again and again, fleecy locks and dark complexion cannot forfeit nature's claim. Skin may differ, but affection dwells in black and white the same. If I was so tall as to reach the pole or to grasp the ocean at a span, I must be measured by my soul. The mind is the standard of the man. And I want to say this as I part with you this evening. Walk together, children. Don't you get weary. There's a great camp meeting in the promised land. We are the builders of America. Before the Pilgrims landed at Plymouth, we were here. Before Jefferson etched the magnificent words of the Declaration of Independence across the pages of history, we were here. Before the Star-Spangled Banner was written, we were here. We made cotton king. We built the homes of our masters under the rawhide whip of the overseer in the sizzling heat, morning after morning. And if the inexpressible cruelties of slavery could not stop us, surely the opposition we now face will fail. We will overcome. We shall overcome. Carlyle is right. No lie can live forever. The Bible is right. You shall reap what you sow. And so as I leave you this evening, I say we will come together with the glad shout and thunder of the ages, and remember that our God is marching on. Glory, hallelujah, glory, hallelujah, glory, hallelujah. Our God is marching on.
Now, every year about this time, we get together here for the last, how many years, Mr. Crine?
37 years.
37 years.
Mm-hmm.
They've only been doing the program for 44, almost all the time.
Yes.
And we talk about something that's very, very important. The community is supporting the work day, not the holiday, but the work day. Isn't that, Mayor Show, isn't that what it should be?
It should be, and that's what it is. It is a day of work, it's a day of service rendered by individuals from within the community to bring about change and a coming together to do a service deed of sorts.
I notice that this year you have the MLK Celebration Committee, which you chair for these many years. You have some other folk who are going to be helping to co-sponsor the events.
I think one of the things this year, and the whole idea of what we are doing, especially this year, and I think last year we kind of touched on it, is bringing the community together. Unity. Dr. King, in his when he was here, and what he preached was unifying the community. And that's one of the things that we are kind of focusing on this year with the Jewish community. My friend over here, Don, has stepped in for a co-sponsor, and it's been a tremendous success. So we look forward to bringing the Hispanic community, the gay community, all of the communities together.
You know, the civil rights movement, from early in its inception, Jewish community and the black community used to work very, very well together. And then as we began to make progress, it appears that the train ran off the track. What happened, Donald?
Well, I'm not sure the train ran off the track, but I think perhaps some of us didn't recall all of the efforts and the things that we did and worked together with the African American community. We were inspired by what was happening especially in the 1960s. Mm-hmm. There were events during that time frame which Jewish people participated. Indeed, rabbis participated, and they were at the front of the marches along with Dr. King and other leaders. And so we were very proud of that. I think that as time went on, maybe there was some degree of satisfaction that we accomplished so much, but now we want to refocus again, and we have been doing this certainly at Temple Emmanuel and within the Jewish community for at least the last 4 years of having a tribute to the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. And this year it's changed. Instead of doing the tribute at the temple, we are co-sponsors, the we being the Jewish Federation of Sarasota Manatee and, of course, Temple Emmanuel, as being co-sponsors of the events, starting with the breakfast, which we are very excited about, and we anticipate to have a substantial crowd.
But Dr. King often talk about the beloved community.
Yes.
And community. And it can't happen in a day, can't happen in a weekend. It has to be a continuous thing. So what's on tap for the breakfast and the rest of the day?
Well, our main speaker this year is Nadine Smith from Equality, Florida. She's going to be our speaker. Of course, we have to talk about Joan Williams. She does the food. And one of the things I think is one of the highlight of the breakfast is the food. Mm-hmm. And we have, of course, a litany of entertainers, mm-hmm. Starting with Truality, with Dennis Clow. They're going to be a part of the program. And we have just excellent people. In fact, this year we're going to have a lot of people from the Jewish community. It's going to be our hosts and some of the people that's going to be helping to serve the breakfasts and just showing our diversity in our city of Sarasota.
Mm-hmm. Mayor?
I have to go with that. The breakfast starts early. People get there early. Seating is available. We have moved it from one side of Robert Taylor to the other side so that we have more than enough room to accommodate the expected number of individuals who will be there on that morning, tomorrow morning. But this lineup of morning presentations is going to be highlighted with a number of individuals from both communities collaborating to bring this off in the way that we really want it to be.
Okay. So now we've dealt with the love affair.
Yes.
Love fest.
Yeah. Let's really talk about programming. Your keynote speaker, she's a friend of Black Almanac and has been on the program on several occasions. And, you know, it's taken some time for us, here again, when I say us, I'm talking community, to understand that we're all God's children. Now, we like to say that for a moment, for an hour, for a day, but if we are truly God's children, we are God's children all the time, not part-time, not sometime. And Nadine is a fighter. And for those of you who may not know, the daughter of a Baptist preacher up in Escambia County. And she worked as a reporter for the St. Petersburg Times back in the day, before it became the Tampa Bay Times. And was always had a concern for people. And one of the things it's important when you get able to bring a Nadine Smith to a large gathering like this, we can begin to understand that, first of all, she's one of God's children, and she's been fighting for equality for all of her life. And I can't wait to hear what she has to tell our community. she has a story, a personal story, as well as a story of the struggle for equality in this area. Don, you're looking at me like you had something to say.
Well, I think what I really want to say about this is to emphasize what's been said, that we want to see as many people as possible from different elements of our community. And the Temple Emmanuel, and the Federation, their mission is to have outreach to the community, and that means the entire community, not just a segment of the community, but the entire community. We may not always agree on every issue, but at least we're sitting down and talking with each other and communicating with each other to try and find common solutions, or solutions to problems and issues that confront us every day. And if we're able to do that and accomplish that, I think we've done a lot.
And I think that's really important, you know, coming out of 2017 and how divisive, you know, our politics have been, and we've just kind of separated from each other. I think this is an opportunity for all of us to find a way to increase our dialogue with each other, our unity with each other, and we need to pull together to make this country a much better place than it has been for the last year.
Well, we come out of 17 in the fire and the fury.
Wow.
And as we go into 18, it's going to be interesting, because there's a new tell-all book. And it talks about the president. And I have been speaking truth to power as long as I've known, been on this earth, I believe. And the worst thing that happened in 17, well, really in 16, was the election of Donald Trump, and he took office in 17. Now, for all those people who says, you just want to pick on Republicans. Well, I was a Republican longer than most of the Republicans in this town have been Republicans, so, but I joined the party in the days of Nelson Rockefeller, Jake Jarvis, Dave Lindsay in New York, when there was a moderate wing of the party. And so I can say they lost it more than anything else. But I can also say that I'm glad to see that what's happening on tomorrow. I've looked at the various, over the years, the MLK breakfasts and various events that occur in the community. We see one or two people over here, one or two people over there, one or two people over there. At the various temples, there are events, and if you go to one of those, you'll see one or two people who look like me over here and one over there. There will be a new Sarasota. You're saying that we know what we can be. We know who we are, and none of us have to worry about anyone else, because we are who we are. And together, we will make this a better place for everyone.
Saying that, may I?
Yeah.
I just couldn't let you keep going, because that was getting good. This march on tomorrow itself is just that. It's an opportunity to express. It's an opportunity for us walking together, marching together, holding hands, singing songs, doing what we should be doing to make the difference here in Sarasota. Sarasota is known to be the spearheading or the point of the spear for so many opportunities and so many things. I think that what you're saying and what has been said here is being put in place on tomorrow, and I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm excited because we've seen ourselves come through so many things, and yet we're going into an even greater period of time. The new gate has just swung open, and we're coming through it together.
I was privileged over the years in my lifetime to go to many a fundraiser that was held in someone's apartment on Fifth Avenue or Park Avenue in New York. Folk who I did not know, but because of my involvement in the city, was invited to. And it was usually a Jewish family who were raising funds for the movement. Mm-hmm. I was also privileged to participate when I could walk in marches in Jersey City, New Jersey, for example. We're on the front line. There are nuns and Jews and black folk. And sometimes people would say, why do you have those people in the march? They don't have the same problems that we have. Well, they don't know the history.
That's right.
That we all, freedom-loving people, I think we become freedom-loving when we see it taken away from us or someone. I remember we were doing a demonstration in Jersey City, New Jersey, against the school board. It was cold and raining, not like we think it's cold here in Sarasota today, but cold and raining. And we went to the superintendent's house and went, a huge crowd. And it was our goal to make him understand that he had the authority and the ability to make some changes in that system. And after we were there for about 20 minutes, his wife came out with pots of coffee and donuts. And from that day on, it was different in Jersey City.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that's important too, we have many new Sarasotans who come from other places who've moved here. And Dr. Judith Wilcox is one of those people. Dr. Wilcox, from the day that she came in, Dr. Wilcox, Dr. Florence Jackson, Dr. Wilcox was a superintendent of schools in the state of New Jersey who went around fixing schools when they had gone bad. She went in to change those schools. Dr. Jackson was part of her role was writing curriculum, and she's written several books for the New York City school system. And most of the folk took a little while because initially, when our black snowbirds came to town, they thought that everybody in Sarasota was dumber than a box of rocks, and they knew everything. But then, and we thought that you ain't so smart, and so you can't be a part of what we do. But after about 15 years or so, they've been coming longer than that, but we began to understand that we're all in this thing together. And so from where I sit, I want to say I'm grateful to be a part of what you all are a part of in the new beginning.
Breakfast is being served at 7:30.
You should be there about 7 o'clock so you won't be complaining about you had to walk too far.
Get there early.
Because you didn't
Get close enough.
Get close enough for a good parking space. And where's the address?
1734 John Rivers Street will be the place. Robert L. Taylor, a multi-activity facility in North Sarasota.
It's at a facility named for the first recreation director for blacks in Sarasota, Mr. Robert Taylor, so many years ago, on the street where a real warrior lived, Mr. John Rivers. And I want everybody, including the MLK Celebration Committee, to start putting
34 John Rivers
Street instead of
1734 34th Street.
34th Street. All right.
And I just want to mention one thing, that we are kind of co-sponsoring scholarships. The money that we raise for the breakfast and all the events that we do, it goes to scholarships. And the Jewish Foundation this year is part of the scholarship fund.
Okay.
I'd like to mention also that Rabbi Richard Klein will be present and part of the program. And hopefully we'll have a very large crowd of Jewish people from the various temples in the community present for breakfast. Notwithstanding the fact that it's starting at 7:30, we plan to be there.
Thank you.
Okay. And so, and for those of you who live in the neighborhood, they're if you didn't buy a table, it's just open seating.
Yeah.
It is open seating.
Yeah.
And
Unless you bought a table.
unless you bought a table.
And so, I'd like to thank all of you for coming out. And as always, have a great day, Suncoast.
Don't allow your weight to threaten your health or control your future. Excess weight or obesity can cause emotional and physical health risks. But you can take control. The Your Weight Matters campaign offers free resources and tips to help you measure and understand your weight. Take the Your Weight Matters Challenge. The free toolkit prepares you to speak with a healthcare provider about your weight. Your weight does matter. Take the challenge and take control today.
Keep up with the Suncoast. Watch your favorite ABC 7 shows on your streaming device.